So welcome to your buyer workshop. I'm really excited that you're here. And I know I said before, our main job is to find you the best home at the best price in the best neighborhoods. But how I really like to describe it is by simply saying our job is to help you build generational wealth through real estate. So today, we're not going to just focus on your next transaction, because to help you build generational wealth through real estate, it takes a much more comprehensive plan than just this one transaction. But the information we're going to cover today will act as your framework to help you not only find your next amazing home, but to do so with the larger plan of building wealth as well. So we are going to cover a lot of information over the next half hour or so. So if you have questions, make sure to write them down and we'll cover them in detail at our upcoming live buyer consultation. So our team has used this system to help hundreds of other home buyers with similar concerns, questions, and goals. So by following what we are about to outline, you will dramatically increase your chances of not only finding your next home, but doing so while saving money along the way. So I am really excited to share this with you. I hope you are too. So let's dive in. So buying a home really boils down to 5 main phases. First is the financial planning. Second, strategic home search. Third, offer phase. Fourth, escrow phase. And fifth, the post-escrow phase. Now, you really can't skip any of these phases as they all build upon one another. And if you try, it really puts you at a disadvantage. So, for example, we see a lot of buyers who decide that they want to buy a new home, and just like I do, and probably you do as well, we get pretty excited to get out there to take a look at homes and see what's on the market, right? It's a ton of fun. We all do it, and it's okay. But let me pull back the curtains just a bit so we can take a behind-the-scenes look at the real estate industry and what happens when you start looking at homes without a strategic plan. So let's say we just decided to buy a home, and we're excited to see what's on the market. We're not pre-approved yet, so we don't even truly know what our price points are. We don't know the tax ramifications, and we don't know how we're going to fit this purchase into our larger financial plan. But we want to go look at homes now. So we jump on a portal site like Zillow or Homes.com, and we type in city, broad price range, bed, bath, square footage, maybe an age range or lot size. Then 20 homes pop up, and you start sifting through it. You find one of some pretty cool looking pictures. And looks like it actually could be a contender. So the next logical step would be to contact the agent on the site to schedule a showing, right? Now that agent is gonna be one of 2 things. They could simply be the agent who agreed to pay the most money that day to have the right to capture your personal information. So who knows what kind of experience that they have, or what are the reviews like? Do they have a team to support them and their clients? Do they offer secure client portals? Can they save you thousands of dollars on your next mortgage? Are they even familiar with the home? And typically they're not. But it's really just kind of a crapshoot on who you get. So even worse, the agent could be the listing agent themselves. So this is the agent the sellers have exclusively hired to represent their interests. So their number one job by fiduciary responsibility is to make the seller as much money as possible, which is in direct conflict with your main goals. So going directly to the listing agent is kind of like letting the fox guard the hen house. And unfortunately, your wallet would be the hen house. So hiring a reputable real estate team is one of the foundations of finding the best homes for the best prices. Now, the good news is, along with our awesome team, is that there are a lot of really good real estate teams that can represent your interests well. But there are even big differences between teams and the services they offer and the resources they have access to. And again, we'll get into a little bit more of that later. So, phase 1, your financial plan. So, sound financial planning around your home purchase includes budgeting, debt to income ratios, credit score improvements, selecting the correct loan products, loan companies, and understanding what special lending programs and credits are available to you. So, don't worry, the team and I will guide you through this process. And one of our experts in our Mortgage Concierge department will help you get your baseline pre-approval, create a solid lending packet, shop lenders, and then help you compare loan estimates to make sure that you are getting the best rates and terms. We have saved clients up to $30,000 on their home loans. So this is one of the biggest money savers we're going to help you confidently take advantage of. But just as important as your savings is the actual structure of the loan itself. So for example, let's say that you plan to be in this home for over 15 years. So we're going to suggest getting a 30-year fixed loan while taking advantage of loan buydowns. Now, you may have heard interest rates are in flux, so you can use our buydown strategy to get your mortgage interest rates down another full 2%. This means dramatically reducing your monthly payments. There are even ways we can get this paid by the seller. Again, this is all part of our advanced negotiation strategies. And one of the best parts about our mortgage concierge team is that we're not beholden to any one mortgage company. That means our goal is to truly find you the best loan products, rates, and terms available to you. So on the other hand, some agents or teams may simply suggest chatting with their preferred lender. Now, don't get me wrong, we have our preferred lenders as well, but plural, lenders. The difference is our preferred lenders are preferred because they offer the best rates and terms to our clients. So some other agents' preferred lender is preferred because they buy gifts or take that realtor out to lunch or invite them to fancy getaways. So now, once our team has helped you narrow down the best rates and terms, it's time to turn your pre-qualification letter into a full-blown pre-approval letter. So this is another key step in our advanced negotiation tactics that we'll cover later. To turn your pre-qualification letter into an approval letter, we submit your lending packet to the lender, and then they verify all of the information we have given them during the pre-qualification process. So they're going to review things like your W-2s, bank statements, and employment verifications. And once it all checks out, we receive your pre-approval letter, which is key when we are at the negotiation table with the sellers or are in multiple offer situations. Now, it's critical, once you have your pre-approval letter, that you don't buy any new large ticket items like cars or boats. These purchases will affect your debt to income ratio and could disqualify you from getting your loan just days before you're supposed to close. So save any new purchases for after your home closes. So now let's go ahead and move on to phase 2, your strategic home search. So now, before we get into all of the different ways we're going to locate potential homes for you, let's chat about the work that needs to be done before we set up the searches. You already have probably completed the first step by filling out your dream home guide. So this lets us know about your standard bed, bath, square footage requirements. But you probably also noticed we asked a lot of questions about your lifestyle, your family, hobbies. So this all plays a big part in not only finding you a home that works, but that home needs to be in an area that works for you just as well. So we're going to create a complete roadmap to home for you. Now, at the buyer consultation, we will put even a finer tip on this and really start to dial in the areas and homes that you may want to consider looking at. So by the end of the buyer consultation, we will be completely dialed in to what you're looking for. So this will help us set up your custom MLS direct search, but more importantly, it will provide the foundation to our buyer hunt group and our other advanced home search services. And your roadmap to home will be officially up and running. So there are 4 main ways to get you access to more homes than traditional realtors. So first is your custom MLS direct searches. Second is your coming soon listings. Third is your foreclosures if you're paying cash. And fourth is our buyer hunt groups. So let's chat about our custom MLS direct searches. Now, this is the most common way we find homes for our clients. So as opposed to you simply jumping on a portal site again like Zillow, Realtor, or Homes.com, our MLS direct searches are more customizing. You also get real-time information, and the homes that are sent are actually available and not some bait and switch. So obviously, the portal sites are for profit, so the longer they can show a home as active, the better. And another one of my favorites is that you don't have to give out any of your personal information to get the details on the homes, unlike those portal sites. So our searches are set by default to send you the new homes the instant they hit the market. We also coordinate with other realtors in the area to share all of our coming soon listings. So from time to time, we can get you into new listings even before they hit the market. However, even with these homes, the listing agents almost always wait at least 3 days after the home hits the market to respond to offers. So now, if you're paying cash and you're okay with buying homes sight unseen, we can help you purchase directly from the courthouse steps. However, we typically only suggest this route for experienced investors with deep ties to contractors, inspectors, and title companies. But if this is something that you may be interested in, let us know at the buyer consultation. We can explore it further. Now, finally, we can also open up a buyer hunt group for you. So once we narrow down the exact neighborhood you are targeting, but none of the homes currently on the market fit the profile for your home, we can kick off a buyer hunt group. So we use our ties to local title companies to get lists of homes in those areas that match the physical traits you are looking for. And we send mailers to each of the homes that fit that profile. Then we simply let them know that we have an interested buyer and ask if they have ever considered selling. So when the responses start to roll in, you will also have first access to these homes as well. Now, on average, once we start to view homes with our clients, we're making offers within the first week. Now, one of the reasons our clients find homes much faster than most is because of all of the work we have completed by this point. The Dream Home Guide has been filled out. We have whittled it down even further at the buyer consultation, and your financing has been secured. So we ensure that when we send homes to you, they truly fit your needs. What this really means is that you also don't waste your time looking at homes that simply won't work for you. Now, you also may be interested in looking at open homes, for sale by owners, and new home construction. So here are just a few pieces of caution and tips for when it comes to looking at these homes. So first, your open homes. And again, open homes are always fun to pop in and get a free cookie. However, all of the homes that you see that are held open are also available on the MLS. So if the homes have not been sent to you already, it's because the home does not fit your search criteria. However, if you do decide to go inside and get design ideas or check out the backyard, simply put our name down, -realtor. So when you sign up, and this is going to ensure that they don't get you into their systems and send you endless follow-up emails. So open homes are great ways for agents to pick up buyer leads. Now, from time to time, you'll also come across for sale by owners. Now, typically, homes listed for sale by owner are listed over the perceived fair market value of the home itself. Now, there's going to be multiple reasons for this, but mainly it has to do with not wanting to pay the listing agent commissions. However, since they are not represented, they commonly overprice their homes and are pretty rigid on their asking prices. For sale by owners typically end up actually never selling, or the prices are greatly reduced and listed by a realtor after several months of trying to sell on their own. But again, all that being said, if you see a for sale by owner that you may be interested in, simply text us a picture of the for sale by owner sign. We'll reach out on your behalf and get you the home details. And if it's indeed a match, we'll arrange a showing for you. So new construction is also a very viable option to find homes. However, the process for buying new construction can vary wildly from developer to developer. So if there is a new construction that meets your home search, let's set up a day to visit the sales offices together. So you should have a realtor accompany you to the model homes the first time that you look at the development. Because if you don't, you're going to be forced to use their in-house representation and will not have the opportunity to negotiate. Now, new home construction developments don't negotiate on price. They have pressure to keep their value up to maintain their appraisals, to ensure they don't endanger the rest of the project from not appraising. However, builders can get very creative with giving you upgrades, appliances, and other incentives. You just have to have a realtor with you to help you navigate the process and negotiate on your behalf. Okay, let's move to the next phase, the offer phase. Now, this is where our hard work and process really starts to pay off. Not only have we done the necessary work to position your offer with a strong pre-qual, we will use the rest of our offer positioning tactics to give you the best chance to get your offer accepted. And again, this is going to be especially helpful when dealing in a multiple offer situation. So our negotiations start as soon as we make the first call to the listing agent. In that initial conversation, we will see if there are any other outstanding offers and ask some probing questions to see if we can gauge the kind of buyer activity they have been experiencing. So depending on your financial situation and the amount of buyer activity the home has had, we can get creative in how we write up the offer. So for example, we can offer short due diligence periods to get our home inspection completed. We may ask the seller for a credit at closing to cover things like your closing costs and to buy down your interest rates. We'll ask them to pay for their customary portion of the closing costs and even ask them to paint the porch. Now, the paint the porch items are typically items you don't truly care about. However, these are things we can use as bargaining chips. So for example, a common one to ask for is, let's say, all the appliances to stay, even the fridge in the garage that you don't necessarily care about. But even though you may have plans to change all the appliances, by adding things in the contract that we don't necessarily care about, we add more bargaining chips to our side of the table. So let's say if they counter us on a higher price, we can counter back on that price again, but give up on trying to take the fridge from the garage. However, the more competition there is on a particular home, the cleaner we will want to write the contract. So in this case, it's advisable to write the cleanest contract as possible with the quickest closing times. So this is another reason to work with a reputable mortgage lenders, because typically the larger banks with mortgage departments inside them don't have the system set up to close within 30 days. So once the offer has been written and we present it to the listing agent, we'll wait to hear back. So now, we do have methods to try to speed up this process, but regardless, this will be the hardest 24 to 72 hours you're going to experience. We will be constantly in communication with you and the listing agent to get a response from the sellers as soon as possible. But it's common for sellers to slow play our offer to see if they can put us in a multiple offer situation. Now again, we will do everything in our power to get an answer from them as soon as possible, but even to the point of possibly writing a letter to the sellers, letting them know how this is the perfect home for you and your family. So some sellers respond very well to buyer letters, but we're gonna play this one on a case-by-case basis. Now, once you finally do get the congratulations call from us, we go into overdrive to complete the fourth phase, the escrow. Now, this escrow is gonna be full of timetables, deadlines, disclosures, inspections, and additional paperwork. However, that is why it's so important for you to work with a realtor with the support of a team like ours. So your escrow is going to be handled by some of the best transaction coordinators in the country. That ensures every T is crossed and I is dotted. But there are always opportunities for bumps in the road. So our escrow department is very proactive, and if there are issues, when diagnosed early enough, we typically have enough time to overcome them and still close on time. So during this process, we just ask that you will be responsive when the time comes for signatures and inspection reviews, as we may need to move fast to stay ahead of the deadlines. And during the escrow process, there are three main phases: the initial disclosures, inspections, and appraisal phase. Now, the initial disclosures from the sellers will be given to us in just a few days after we're in contract. This is where they will disclose anything that they know is materially wrong with the property. So if they disclose anything out of the ordinary, we'll have the opportunity to renegotiate the deal or even walk away from the deal if we choose. After the initial disclosures have been approved, we will order the home inspections. Now, these inspections will be completed by a licensed inspector who are covered by errors and emissions insurance. So once the inspection reports have been completed, we'll review the inspection reports with you. Now, the inspection report almost always lists multiple issues with the home. However, they are typically very minor. And so, for example, caulk around tubs, broken light bulbs, and other minor deficiencies are gonna be there. These are to be expected. But what we are really looking for is anything of structural concern, large foundation cracks, structural roofing issues, or mechanical issues with the home's HVAC systems. Even issues with those more concerning repairs, however, can easily be overcome with additional seller credits. So we can make the repairs after we close. Now, we typically recommend asking the seller for a credit instead of asking them to make the repairs themselves. We typically find if the sellers are left to do the repairs, they use the minimum effort and cost possible to fix the repairs. So the quality of repairs is typically far better if we take care of them ourselves after the close of escrow. So now, once we sign off on the inspections, the last big hurdle is the home appraisal. Now, the appraisal is completely done independently of all of the parties to the escrow, meaning the listing agent, sellers, us as buyer agents, or yourself do not have the ability to select the appraiser or influence it in any way. Now, the appraiser is hired directly by your mortgage company and is responsible to deliver a fair market analysis of the property. The appraisal will typically be completed about 10 days prior to the close of escrow, and it will either come in low or at value. Typically, appraisers never appraise homes for more than the contract. So if the home comes in at value, then we proceed to close it. However, if the appraisal comes in low, we typically use this in our favor to renegotiate a lower sales price. However, the seller is not obligated to reduce the price. Now, congratulations, we have finally made it to closing day. So typically on the day or day before closing, you will meet at the title company to sign your final loan documents and closing statements. You will also need to wire in the funds required for your down payment, and it's also recommended to schedule the utilities to be transferred into your name on the next day, so you don't move into your new home and discover the power was just turned off. Now, the sellers sign their final papers, we sign and wire in our funds, and we get the clear to close. And if we've negotiated to get possession of the home on the day of closing, we will receive the keys and a clear to move in from the title company as soon as the new title work has been recorded with a local municipality. Now, congratulations, you own the home. We are officially in the post-escrow phase, and this is where our team actually really shines. We will continue to help and support you in every way that we can. Need a great local handyman, maybe an electrician or a landscaper? we've got you covered. We're going to prepare your very own home sweet home directory that will help you find everything from the closest Chinese food to great landscapers and everything in between. Your home sweet home guide will also have links to your important escrow documents that are going to be needed for your next tax return and estate planning. We'll keep in touch each month to make sure everything is running as it should and keep you appraised of current mortgage and market conditions. We'll continually monitor interest rates, and when it makes financial sense to think about refinancing, we'll reach out. And that's how you buy a home. Easy, right? Now, don't worry, we're going to be with you every step of the way to make sure this is a smooth and enjoyable process. Now, again, just imagine how it's going to feel on closing day when you get the keys and finally move into your new home. It's one of those core memories you and your family will have forever, and we are just really excited to be a small part of it. So now, as you know, the next step is your buyer consultation. So during this consultation is really where the rubber meets the road and we get moving. So we're going to review your timelines. You guys can chat about your financial position and review your lending options. We'll put a finer tip on your home search and make sure we are 100% on the same page. Potentially line up your first group of homes to look at, and we'll wrap it up by making it official with signing the state-required buyer brokerage agreement. So now, let's review how the contracts work in the real estate industry. It's actually really pretty straightforward. There are 3 contracts for every transaction. The first contract is the listing contract. Now, this is between the listing agent and the seller. It outlines the services and the fees for those services. The second contract is the buyer brokerage contract. This is between us, the buyer and the buyer's agent. It also outlines the services and the fees for those services. And finally, the third contract is the purchase agreement. This is how the buyers and the sellers come together to purchase the home. So you will end up being party to both the buyer brokerage agreement and the purchase agreement. So we're going to go over the paperwork in detail at the buyer consultation. However, I wanted to go over how we'll help you pay for the services. It really boils down to 3 ways. The first way, but not a recommended way, is you can pay for the services out of your own pocket. The second is we can work with your lender to finance your closing costs, which has actually been very common for years. The third and most exciting way is to get the seller to pay for your closing costs and buyer agent fees. Now, the nice thing is these are the fees that the sellers have been used to paying for decades. They can still pay for the costs via a closing cost credit for the buyer agent commissions. So at the end of the day, we can negotiate our fees to be entirely paid by the seller. So our goal is not only to be your trusted advisor for this transaction, but for all of your and your family's future transactions, no matter where they live or where they're moving to anywhere in the United States. So we hope to do such a great job for you that the next time you hear of someone thinking about buying or selling a home, regardless of location in the US, you're going to refer them to us. Your referrals and positive reviews really, really do mean the world to us. And we want to earn the right to help your family, friends, and coworkers to build generational wealth through real estate. So thanks again, and we cannot wait to meet you at the buyer consultation.